underground. Nobody's ever seen him since. He becomes a myth, a spook story that criminals tell their kids at night. Rat on your pop, and Keyser Soze will get you. And no one ever really believes.
Do you believe in him, Verbal?
Keaton always said, I don't believe in God, but I'm afraid of him. Well, I believe in God. And the only thing that scares me is Keyser Soze.
Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to take a look back and reflect on one of the all-time great crime thrillers, The Usual Suspects, and why it remains such a true masterclass in cinematic storytelling. Released on August 16th, 1995, it stars Gabriel Byrne, Stephen Baldwin, Kevin Pollak, Benicio del Toro, Kevin Spacey, Charles Palminteri and Giancarlo Esposito, and it was directed by Bryan Singer. Now, the setting within The Usual Suspects that we start in Los Angeles at a shipping port with a major crime scene where murdered hitmen who were deemed to be involved in some sort of narcotics deal. The police find only 2 survivors, one of which is a crippled conman named Verbal Kint. Brought in for interrogation by Agent Dave Coogan, he has quite the story to tell. We learn of his association with 4 other notorious criminals as they go on various heists and arrests with the police. We see all of their bickering as they look for the next big score. We then see things take a turn for the worse as they find themselves under the wrath of the mysterious drug criminal known as Keyser Soze. Over the course of the film, Coogan tries to unravel Kint's story to determine whether he is telling the truth or not. So we asked the question as to whether this film is a masterclass in cinematic storytelling, and the answer is absolutely yes. When we talk about great stories in any format, the ultimate goal is the hook, and the audience with that hook gives them a reason to keep them involved within the story. And the common examples normally are to do with a mystery whodunit or a vengeance story, and Usual Suspects itself is very much more about a mystery box. We have that typical storytelling narrative of starting with the end part of the story and then working our way back through flashbacks to see how we get to the end point. What happens to the crew? How did they get caught up in their situations? Did they really survive in the end? The film poses multiple questions and always keeps you guessing, and that's always a winning formula in terms of a story. There's so much here in terms of intrigue, action, humour and mystery. It's really quite the perfect film when you really think about it. Especially in terms of the editing, as we seamlessly go back and forth in terms of Kint's story, but the film never loses itself by overindulging like what we would normally see with the likes of Quentin Tarantino or Guy Ritchie's movies. All of the flashbacks are integral to the story, and the narrative stays firmly focused on what happens to the crew, and it never gets sidetracked by any subplots or overlong action sequences. Every scene feels important in building the story and overall characters. The film elevates even higher, of course, with the introduction of Keyser Soze halfway through the movie, just bringing an extra amount of suspense and tension as the crew are seemingly trapped under his overall influence. Now, the movie itself is masterfully directed by Bryan Singer, much more known for his X-Men movies and also Superman Returns, but The Usual Suspects still remains his best movie, very much maintaining that pace and escalation as we go throughout the story. And as with all great movies, we have a brilliant cast producing quality performances. Kevin Pollak and Benicio del Toro, to be honest, have more smaller roles here as Hockney and Finster, but Stephen Baldwin is absolutely great as Michael McManus, very much the cocky, abrasive sniper hitman. We also have Gabriel Byrne as Dean Keaton, the master criminal and leader of the group, and he's the one really that Coogan is after. And really, you would think about him more as the de facto lead character of this story. He's the most level-headed and most conscience-driven of the team. Very much the old criminal trying to go legit and stay out of the business. Charles Palminteri is also fantastic as Agent Coogan, and his performance is key, very much from that audience perspective in trying to unravel Kint's story, and his interaction with Kint are great and also keep you engaged right throughout the entire film. Pete Postlethwaite is also fantastic as Kobayashi, very much the second right-hand man of Keyser Soze, and we have that brilliant scene where we see him enter in and introduce the others to the personality of Keyser Soze. Once again, this is a fantastic example of really drawing you in and unraveling all of the suspense. But of course, at the centre of this entire movie is Kevin Spacey as Verbal Kint, and what's still his most iconic performance. Now, many say a story is only as good as its storyteller, and Verbal Kint is one of the best, and it's also such a fascinating character. He's all calm and smug one minute and then all frail and paranoid the next, and as a viewer this just draws you to the whole mystery and his entire story. And the mystery with this character is of course devastatingly revealed at the film's climax, for which I will not spoil for anybody who hasn't seen the film, but it goes without saying that it remains one of the greatest movie twist endings of all time. But to be fair, it's a twist that doesn't really define the movie itself, in the sense that it can still be rewatched and enjoyed in the same level despite knowing the twist, and that's how you know that you have a good twist to begin with. And to be honest, I think the real strength of the film is the crew itself, carrying out all of the heists and various jobs and trying to dig their way out of trouble. That's really the most compelling part of the movie, and this is embodied none more so than probably the most iconic scene of the entire film, where we see the criminals all put together in a lineup, very much the image that was used in all of the movie's promotional material. And it's very much a famous story of how this scene very much played more into real life, as Stephen Baldwin has to say a certain line, all the actors start laughing, and Bryan Singer decided to keep this interaction in, and again it proves to be a very much of a masterstroke. So when we go on to the film's overall release, and it ended up being a very good success for an independent film, grossing over $67 million worldwide on just a $6 million budget. When initially released, some saw it as just another Tarantino clone type thriller, as you have to remember during the early to mid 90s, mainstream cinema was still under the influence of the emergence of Tarantino with the likes of both Reservoir Dogs and very much more so Pulp Fiction, but The Usual Suspects is leagues above any Tarantino movie, and it managed to gain a very strong critical reception upon release, and it also ended up winning Oscars for both Best Screenplay and also most significantly for Best Supporting Actor for Kevin Spacey, very much announcing him as a mainstream Hollywood actor, and he would go on to star in some of the most prolific movies within the 1990s with the likes of Seven in 1995, The Negotiator, an also brilliant film with Samuel L. Jackson in 1997, LA Confidential alongside Kim Basinger and Russell Crowe, and he'll also go on later to win his second Oscar for a leading role with American Beauty in 1999. But Usual Suspects is really much more of an ensemble piece, a brilliant movie of many twists and turns, but never convoluted or confusing. It remains culturally impactful because of the Keyser Soze presence, and alongside masterful direction and brilliant performances, it is very much still an absolute masterclass in cinematic storytelling. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and look back on The Usual Suspects, without question one of the best films of the 1990s. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Where do you think it ranks amongst the hierarchy of Bryan Singer movies and also films within the early to mid 90s? And if you have any other suggestions of any other films that you'd like to see me cover within this channel, or also any other topics or television series or any issues within pop culture and entertainment that you'd like to see me talk about, then also let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves and I will see you very, very soon.